Hey, I'm Jason Harrell.
And I'm Justin Boyd.
And let's freaking do this.
Welcome to episode number 22 of Let's Freaking Do This. My name is Justin Boyd, and once again, I'm thrilled to be joined by my good friend, musician, Jason Harrell. Jason, how you doing?
Grand. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing really well. We've got a full house of guests tonight. Jason, why don't you introduce our guests?
We have Brave Little Howl, all the way from from the DFW area, I guess, because I know that you're not all in the same exact place. So
yeah.
So how's it going, guys?
Yeah. It is going very well.
Is that coffee in your cup?
Maybe. I just did a long. I just drove 4 hours today, so I need a little pick me up, a little get me down.
4 hours. Why did you have to drive 4 hours?
I went to visit a friend in Tyler, Texas, and it's about 2 hours away, 2 hours back.
Yeah,
that's good math.
Yeah, that's why I got really 4 hours.
2 and 2.
Texas
what's that like?
I
mean, having friends.
What like, or what's math like? Math is pretty cool. You can use it for numbers and for theory.
Space travel.
Tyler is a lot like East Texas, and today it was about 86 degrees and humid.
Yeah.
But they do have hills and pine trees, which us on the Blackland Prairie, we have fields and oak trees. So
yeah.
No hills.
Yeah, it has gotten really hot lately.
I've heard this thing called climate change.
I've heard about that.
I know it's politically charged.
That's not real. Come on.
Well, it does. There's math involved, but it's a higher level math than what I know. So
just the fact that the Earth has been hotter every year for like the last 20 years, like come on. Like that's not real.
That's probably because I've been alive for 20 years. I'm just
exactly. Right.
When you hit puberty, it was 20 years ago?
Yeah, 20 years ago, I hit puberty. Yeah. I'm the Beyonce of weather.
What?
I mean, later tonight, you'll be in the bathroom thinking, you'll be like, oh my gosh, he is the Beyonce of weather.
Yeah.
20
bootylicious, yeah.
Everything I own is in the box to the left. I meant to point that way.
There you go. Yeah, the directional thing with the camera, it's tough.
It's to my left.
There was an old game on Nintendo called RC Pro-Am or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the controller on it was opposite of the way you wanted to go. And when I was a little kid, I wouldn't play that game because I couldn't figure it out.
Well, that's like on so many of those games, the up and the down, you have
inverted.
Yeah. My wife has to do the inverted controls when she plays Halo because she can't.
Well, that's why I can't fly airplanes, because you pull up or pull back to go up.
Right,
I've crashed every airplane I've flown because you go forward to go up.
Yeah.
I haven't flown an airplane yet, though.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself, tell us what you do in the band, and maybe tell us some of the people who are missing also.
You go first.
I'm Josh. I play keys.
You write the melodies, the harmonies, I mean.
Yeah. I sing some harmonies and work with Clay on harmonies, and that's what I do. What do you do, Clay?
Well, Josh is my boss. So I play auxiliary, for lack of a better word, a little bit of everything, which some people seem to be impressed by when they see me on stage, and I always remind them that the reason I play everything is because I'm not good enough to play a single thing well. And then Josh teaches me my harmonies, and we roll from that. So, yeah.
And I'm Mark. I'm the Beyonce of the band. I do a lot of the dance
choreography. Yeah.
A lot of the hooking up with Jay-Z. I kind of just bring the vibe, if you will.
There you go.
Wow.
And who are we missing?
Oh, we're missing Billy Hill are William J. Hill. He is our lead singer and guitarist. We're missing Cole Reisner, who is our bassist.
Wait, is that his name?
Cole
Dreisner.
Dreisner.
Yes,
that's right. He was a Shiner Rising Star artist on his own, and then he gave up his life of pursuing Texas country glory to play bass in our crappy band.
Oh my gosh.
And then Cory Phifer, who might join us later. He plays drums, and I like to think of him as the actual Jay-Z of the band.
Really?
So he's the one.
So you're hooking up with him.
No secret. If you've ever seen us on stage, you can totally tell there's something going on between us.
So I saw you guys in at Ghost Note Brewing in gosh, what is it? Dripping Springs, yeah. And so that's the only time I've gotten to see you guys live. But at the time, you did not have Cole. You guys, I think Josh played the bass parts on the keys.
That happened.
Tried to.
And did a better job.
That's not true. No, that's the hard thing when you have 6 guys in the band. Like I think Clay just admitted he plays like he misses one of every 4 or 5 shows.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Cole, because he is a solo musician as well as being in our band.
Mm-hmm.
So he has other obligations from time to time. So I think there's only 2 of us who haven't missed a Brave Little Howl show.
Yeah.
Josh plays in like 15 bands. He's a hired gun for a lot of people. Cory broke his leg and his knee
and just showed up.
And he just showed up now to this thing. He looks really sad. But yeah, so we've had people interchange, come in and out. Perfect. Josh's head's right there.
So yeah, one of the 2 is our lead singer that you can't necessarily play a show without. So
right.
Yeah. So
do y'all have subs?
We have a sub for Cory who knows pretty much everything. We don't like him as much. He's a really good hang. But like the Jay-Z Beyonce thing goes away. It's just Beyonce. And
Beyonce and you're Jay-Z.
Without Jay-Z, there's just Beyonce's lacking a little.
I mean, she wasn't Destiny's Child though, so there's that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Solo Beyonce way better. Even better because she hooked up with Jay-Z. This is just Destiny's Child without this guy.
There we go. So welcome, Cory. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
So
this is Justin. This is Jason.
Jason looks awesome.
Jason's related to Clay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry,
Spoiler alert. We were about to talk about that. So I was going to say,
ruin the entire conversation. No, I'm just
we
kidding.
scripted this whole thing.
No, we were going to play a game.
We forgot to read the notes.
We were going to play
the script.
This is like the NFL.
There we go. Yeah, like Arian Foster said. Anyway, so Clay, you mentioned you are, auxiliary. You play a lot of stuff, and you and Jason have something in common. He also does that.
We
you'll have something else in common, but now it's ruined. But yeah, go ahead.
We don't actually play any instrument well.
Oh no, I grew up hearing stories about how awesome Jason and Nathan were at music, and so being a little kid who grew up, I don't know, what is it, 5 hours away from from y'all. Not seeing y'all all that often, but hearing the stories, that may have been part of my motivation for getting into music. It was like, well, they can't be the favorite grandsons,
like if there was any truth to that right there, then it was all like a bunch of baloney too, because like you might have been told stories, but there wasn't a whole lot of that going on when we were kids.
Fair enough. To be fair, I haven't actually seen either one of you live, so
yeah.
Wow. You have to prove it to me.
Yeah, Nathan and I, my brother Nathan and I played like in a country type band when we were kids. Like there's pictures of us like very, very young and like big cowboy hats and the bolo ties and everything.
That's rad.
But yeah, that's what we did. And then Nathan pretty much put the guitar down and didn't, as far as I know, he hasn't sang in public since he was whatever 10 or 11 years old. So
since he hit puberty.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. I don't know if it was exactly that, it probably was, honestly. You start getting into that age where you start to think about, do I look stupid or do I, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore.
I've never reached that age.
Still working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you just said that you're the third oldest person in the band, so
Yeah.
that's surprising.
Well, still waiting.
So
Yeah,
guys,
and the other thing that we have in common is, of course, our grandparents.
Right.
That's not interesting.
It's not interesting at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boring.
So Clay's mom and my dad are siblings. And as Clay mentioned, we grew up, well, he grew up in Paris.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Cisco. And so, yeah, it's about 5 hours difference there.
Yeah, jeez.
My grandparents were all in West Texas, so we drove through Cisco going to visit them every time.
Oh, really? Where did
Yeah.
they live?
Lubbock and Odessa.
Okay.
I was born in Lubbock, but I got the heck
Jeez.
out of there as quick as I had the ability to walk.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm walking away from this cow town. Screw Bucky Holly. Pat Green, who? How about Pat Red? He's from Lubbock. That's where he got to start. Texas Tech.
Yeah, okay.
Come on.
And we hate Pat Green on the show, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. It's
I mean, does anybody like Pat Green?
total bullshit. I'm totally lying. Like, I don't know. Like, we gotta have something to talk about, I guess.
Right.
You know?
well, let's talk about Brave Little Howl. Let's get the origin story of the band. So how did this band come together? How did you come up with the name? All that good stuff.
That's really boring. Let's talk about Pat Green and grandparents. So Brave Little Howl was go back further. So a couple of us, three of us, played in a band called the Southern Sea. That was a North Texas band. We played shows around Texas, but not much further than that. And then our lead singer Billy left to go to Cambodia, and Cory and I got left behind. Cory stopped playing drums, took up acting for a little bit, tried to join an improv group. I kept writing songs, and eventually Billy came back from Cambodia. This is condensed, by the way, so
Yeah.
for the high points. Billy came back from Cambodia. I was like, hey, I have these songs, and unlike Beyonce, I can't sing. So Billy was like, hey, these are pretty cool. Let's mess with them. And Billy and I sat in my apartment at the time and fleshed out some songs. This guy, Clay, that's related to you guys, or one of you, he said, it'd be cool is if y'all came to my apartment or my house. He actually had a rent house and rehearsed here, and maybe I could jump in and sing some of these songs too. And so then he learned how to play guitar because he couldn't sing very well. And he still can't do that or play guitar at the same time. But we kept building this foundation of a band in his living room, where eventually we asked Cory to come and try and figure out drums because we were going to Nashville to record a demo. And we didn't have a good proper place to rehearse drums, so he just flipped over a tub and like some books and beat on a tub and books with his hands, which was actually pretty fascinating for somebody who's a decent drummer. And then eventually we had Josh join the band as the keys player and harmony creator. And we all went to Nashville, did a demo. I'm the band pessimist and rain cloud. So I hovered over that demo and any aspirations of actually becoming a band for about a year of how I hated it, and I hated me, and I hated everyone. And then eventually they convinced me through a heavy drinking session and kind words that we should release this into the world and try and play a show. And so then we played our actual first show in Denton, and had a guy jumping on bass that eventually left the band. We've gone through like 12 bassists or 15, I don't know. And that's sort of the foundation. Like it was started because I have a compulsion to tell people sad stories, and Billy has a compulsion to stand in front of people and sing those sad stories. And everyone else, we just keep dragging into it because what else are they going to do? Play baseball?
Nope.
It's funny you mentioned you had so many bass players. It seems like bass players are the hardest like part of a band to get to stick around for anybody. It's like every time I look around, every time I look up, somebody's looking for a bass player.
I wish it was like,
At least we have a good sub.
yeah.
Yes, Josh.
Hey, I mean, when I heard it, I because again, I had only seen you guys without the bass player.
We're way better with the bass player because it's more dynamic and
I believe it, but it was really good. It was
Thanks.
really good.
Well, Josh is like, he actually, what is it? You have a master's degree in piano performance?
Not quite.
Not. He's like
No.
he quit.
Almost.
He
He's
quit.
he's the professional musician.
Yeah.
I'm a quitter.
He's a quitter. But he, like I said, man, we play a show and nobody comes and talks to us. They go and talk to Josh like, hey man, I've got a band. I need a keys player. Can you come sub? And he's like, okay. It's like $800 an hour. Like, I'll pay you $1,000. And that's how he lives in that mansion on that hill over there.
Well, people also Cory because he waves to them every other song, and they talk about how awesome it is to watch.
Yeah,
That's true.
what's really funny is I was telling lead singer of Cliffs, John Tufalo, and he's also in what is it? Some other what's that band?
Apples and Stereo?
Apples and Stereo and the
Death Ray Davies?
Jaret Ray Reddick. Anyways, so we just played a show with him at Ruins, and it's really funny because he came up to me and he goes, because he's a drummer, and he was like, man, I just like your parts. He was really complimentary, all this stuff. I said, you know what? You're the first person that's ever said, hey, man, I love watching you guys play, especially you. You're having so much fun. Don't tell me about how much talent everybody else in the band has and how amazing they are. I like it's just so much fun watching you sing along and you're waving, you're clapping, you're doing all this stuff and interacting. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But how did I do? You know?
So, how would y'all describe the band's sound?
So I think about this a lot. My favorite album of all time is the White Album by the Beatles, which has Helter Skelter on it, which is almost like an early metal song. And it has Happiness is a Warm Gun, which is a weird, theatrical, almost Bohemian Rhapsody operatic piece. And then it has, I forgot the name of it, the Paul McCartney goofy song about the hotel. Anyway, but it has all these different styles on it. And I'm like, that is amazing that you could go, like, if you were a desert island and you have to be stuck with an album, I don't want to be stuck with one that has variety to it, that has a whole bunch of different influences. And for me, like, the White Album embodies that. So when we started putting together a band, especially 6 pieces, we have this ability to do something that stylistically we can touch on, like Waylon Jennings or, what's the cover?
The Avett Brothers?
No, the
Bismarcky?
no. So you just heard that. I'm asking for covers like the Avett Brothers, Bismarcky. So we what we do in the band and influences that we can pull from. And like I think if you're looking for a modern day equivalent, Wilco is a good substitution for, or a good example of that has this ability to be like a real indie rock noise band.
Yeah.
And then like they just put out an album that's all country songs.
Yeah.
And the dichotomy within that band of musicians that they pull from, and each song has a distinct ability to stand alone and be like, this is really cool. And then you go like, I want to hear more. And you're like, this sounds nothing like the song I heard before.
Yeah.
I feel like to us stylistically, we're based in that sort of indie Americana or Americana, but we have songs that are way more indie rock, and we have songs that are more just straight like country folk. Like we just played a show this weekend, and it was described, we were the alt country band, which I don't know what the crap that means.
But if you like our sound, just wait 2 songs and you won't like us anymore. Basically.
Yeah. I think we've had this conversation on this spot because pretty much everybody falls into that category these days because the category is so broad, right?
Well, I think too, like you listen to like the horrible thing about Spotify is it takes money away from artists. The good thing about Spotify is like you don't have to say, I know I like this genre. I'm only going to buy these albums. You can skip around and find. And I think like hopefully music starts to mirror that, where people aren't just like, oh, I'm a reggae guy. I'm a what? Like you can you listen to a whole bunch of different stuff. Like pull those influences in. Like the Clash is a good example of a band that I feel like took punk and reggae and even like pop rock, and they had their first American tour. They had Bo Diddley as their opener, who made more money than they did every show because that was the way the billing was. But like, who would have thought the Clash wanted this old blues dude to open up for him?
Yeah.
To me, there's like some magic to music not be so homogenous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you referenced the Beatles. I mean, it was not. They have several albums where like you've got multiple different genres on one album.
Yeah,
it's just like they're just writing a song, like whatever it happens to be. But it's like I think you're right. Like I do think this whole idea of Americana or whatever you want to call it, it's like I think that whole thing, it was just invented because there's just so many things going on in so many bands like that, where there's just all these different influences, and you can't call them country, you can't call them rock, you can't call them whatever, because they're just do whatever they want to do.
Well, I think that's really true. I think it's kind of a fallout. Like you had everyone learn guitar, and like a lot of people who are, I guess, between the age of 30 and 50, like they all learned to play Nirvana or learned to play these different like Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam songs, Metallica. The first band I was ever in did Metallica covers. And like you leave that, you're like, I'm not that same kid. I have a different emotional quality. And then you hear stuff like Waylon Jennings, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is singer-songwriter. This has a story to it, a narrative. And that's what like really draws me to the sort of country music, is like it's not just, and it's crazy because my favorite band, they don't write sensible lyrics at all. But you have this narrative and you have this story, and you have like something compels you beyond just the music, and you learn how to put like the skills you learn playing Metallica and crap, and then put it with this story, and you create like this new genre that we call Americana. But really, I think if we're honest, it's I think it's broader, like you were saying, than Avett Brothers or Jason Isbell.
Isbell.
My favorite, my favorite label for us is Texas Indie. Texas because we do what we want, and Indie because we do what we want.
Well, I think you also have 6 different guys in a band.
Yeah,
everybody has different things that they like.
I was going to ask that because you said, because it sounds like, Mark, it sounds like you're like primarily the lyricist.
Oh, I don't know what I do.
Well, I mean, as far as the songs, like you're when it comes to the lyrics and the songs, you're typically.
I mean, like it's.
Yes.
Yes.
Between him and Bill.
He and Billy write most of the songs. Josh has written a song.
But when it comes to putting the song together, are you all like you're all participating in it?
That's complicated. Like what happens usually is like we approach it with here's a basic structure, the lyrics. What happens to me a lot because I don't sing is I have scratch lyrics I throw out that then Billy just learns and doesn't want to relearn any new lyrics. So a lot of times you hear something that I didn't intend to be put out there to the world. And he's just lazy, and it bites me in the ass instead of him.
I mean, he is the one that didn't show up, right?
We could rag on him as much as we wanted to.
Because he's not here. He's in rehab.
He's proving that he's lazy by not being here, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But no, for real, like Billy and I will bring in a song, and we'll have it laid out, but then everyone adds in their sort of panache or their thoughts, and it helps flesh out the structure and helps it become not a singer-songwriter and more of a full band, which I think is what separates us a lot of times, is that we can do something that a singer-songwriter wouldn't be able to do because they're having to hire guns to come in and play a song on the fly, where we have, like a couple of months to rehearse a song before we present it to anybody, and we can put in these little intricate like hooks or stops or swells that it's really difficult to do if you're just working, on the fly.
Right.
Well, I mean, every time you or Billy introduce a new song, what inevitably ends up happening is we play that song for 40 minutes. Everyone noodles around, like different drum parts, different key parts, different guitar parts, like for an extended amount of time. Then we revisited it 2 weeks later, and like all of that like becomes refined and refined and refined. And
we
like,
record
okay, I like this part, I don't like that.
We record full band demos most of the time that we can all kind of reference, like, hey, where did I leave my part? You know, we go back and listen to where we last left our part, and then we can kind of just have a spot to pick up from, and then eventually we feel like, hey, I kind of landed on something, and we all, you know, eventually we'll take that to the studio, but that comes later.
What I think is interesting too about the songwriting process is how different every single one of us, like what we listen to. Like Billy really is all about singer-songwriter stuff. Mark's got like probably a wide category and some deep, really good stuff that is just found purchase with him. Josh listens to almost everything, but also has favorites that may not be my favorite. Clay listens to a lot of the different stuff. Our bass player listens to a lot of country stuff. And I listen to anything from Sugar Ray to death metal to hip hop to like indie rock to whatever. And so it's really interesting to hear the process from each perspective based on what they listen to. You know what I mean? So like what my beat would be when I'm playing is not going to be like a typical thing that Bill has even come and told me, dude, I never would even thought about that beat or this, or I had this beat in my mind. And then somehow in all this weird refinery kind of processing of the song and listening to it and all of us letting it marinate and come back to it, somehow we are allowing each other to have their own space and their own perspective within the song. And it works, and nobody gets, yeah, there's been times where we've been butthurt by, you know, don't play that, or we need to rewrite that, or that just don't do that thing. But a lot of the time somehow it still works. And from what I've seen anyways with the products and the stuff that we put out, there's room for each part. There's nobody just being clouded over.
Yeah. Well, you guys, one thing that I thought really stood out about the one time that I've seen you so far at Ghost Note was that you guys had your outdoor stage where you played a band, like as a band, and then you went inside.
Wow.
That was terrible.
You don't remember meeting my cousin?
It just clicked
That
with
was
you
so hard.
I had
Like 106 degrees.
I almost died.
I mean, it was hot, but
It was
I mean, y'all also went inside.
Yeah.
In the air conditioned building and did a acoustic, like some of it was flat out a cappella stuff. So like that was, I was just going to mention that because you were talking about you going from like the singer songwriter stuff all the way to like noise rock or whatever, because like you guys have a huge breadth of that kind of sound that you can pull off really well.
I think the key to that is like every song that we have in the band was written on an acoustic guitar with just a single vocal.
Well, not only was it written that way, but like the band origins is like that. We were sitting in my living room playing acoustic guitars and Cory playing on like storage tubs.
Right.
And so like when we get to play like that, I not speaking for anyone else, like I feel like I've gone back in time like 7 years and we're sitting in my living room, and it's very natural and I enjoy it. But at the same time, like being able to play full band and like have some of these like crazy, you know, guitar effects or whatever, like that's also really enjoyable. And so I think being able to enjoy and appreciate and have fun with like everything in between is something that we do well and all enjoy. So
Shameless plug for our Live from Big Thicket double vinyl. We did like a completely stripped down set. Oh, look at that!
Nice.
There's a photo right there.
I bought that at that show, by the way.
Oh, heck yeah. So that's super stripped down. That's the room we were sitting in. No amplification except for the keys. Little practice amp.
you'll also notice there's no bass player.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a picture right there, by the way.
Man, they had two photographers there that night, and both of them killed it. One of them's like a famous Bon Vivant or something in Texas named Tony Jury, beer peddler.
Yes.
He has a huge Instagram and Facebook follow. And then your brother-in-law, right, Jake?
Yep, Jake Doherty.
Jake Doherty. I don't know who took that photo, but yeah, they did a great job. That whole night was really special. It was weird because normally you have monitors or amplification or some way to hear what's going on. We literally were just, you can see from the photo, like we're pointed away from each other playing, and Cory's at the very back playing drums, so he can't hear the guitars. He can only hear people's voices. So he's playing to a voice and maybe a little bit of keys that are set back with a little practice hand pointed away from the crowd because there were microphones in the crowd picking things up.
Yeah.
So it was a very fun night, but nerve-wracking because also we got a lot of gifts, including whiskey bottles for each of us.
Uh-oh.
And we, like
Just the bottles. They didn't have any.
we filled those whiskey bottles properly. But it was fun. It's just I've listened to the album one time and I'll never listen to it again.
Why is that?
Wow.
They don't want me to say
He's
anything.
the rain.
No,
cloud.
he's the rain cloud. If he listens to it more than once, he's just gonna be like, "Oh, we could have done this better." Or
We should burn the rest that we have.
We need to destroy all the rest of these records.
All I hear are the wrong things. I never hear the right things.
Well, okay, fair enough. I can understand that as a being your own worst critic type thing. But I mean, I enjoy it. I think it sounds great, and like the way you're describing it, of like hardly even being able to hear the guitar from back there at the drums or whatever, like that's amazing because it sounds really good to me.
Well, I think the other part of it is this idea was pitched to us, and the way it was pitched to us was like, maybe we'll use a couple of songs.
Maybe we can release a single.
Yeah, we can do a single, or we can do like 2, maybe 3 songs, and then we show up and it's like, okay, we're recording everything. Like this is like
We were conned.
all of this. So we show up and all of a sudden we're scrambling of like, okay, how do we actually make this sound good? And is it gonna be okay? And it ended up like we ended up getting a full-length live recording out of it that I think is very honest and like natural to like us.
And there's cool things in it too, because like they were told at the very beginning, don't talk, don't pull your cell phone. We'll tell you when to pull your cell phone out. We'll do a video. Everyone can video that one song. But during it, you hear people like muffle a cough or open a beer can or these little like things that are, to me, that's what makes that album cool, is that you have this one living moment.
Snapshot.
Yeah.
Slice of
and
life. Yeah.
it's like a little history. And that's the cool thing about it. It's not the performance. It's that one night happened. It was captured. And we weren't told it was going to be what it was. We were like, okay, we can pick and choose. So if we screw this song up, it's not a big deal.
And all those people got to be there by invite only for free. Like, like
it was an RSVP only.
Yeah, it was just like something that we got to invite like band friends, family, like,
and it was a
people
hard
that really love and support us, and they just like showed out and made it really, really special.
Yeah, they had a police, like, because this was rented out by the city of Dallas, there had to be a police officer on site, and they had to keep a head count of how many people came in. So you, like, if somebody canceled, they had to let us know canceled, and we'd have people waiting outside who'd come in. So it was I mean, it was kind of an interesting, fun experiment. And the dude who hosted it built like that Brave Little Howl sign in the background, which I think is still in his garage. And he brought all these lamps and stuff. We showed up with hardly anything, sat down and played a set, and then that was it.
Well, I think was kind of cool too. Like something I enjoyed just listening back to it was probably the mistakes and how fun those were, and like, oh man, that would have been cool to get that right. But the realness and the rawness of it, and honestly, Billy was, to me, all of his little stories and stuff really reminded me of like MTV Unplugged or VH1 Behind the Music, or like the Storytellers thing, you know, where they would do that sitting on the stage and he's like telling the story about how he wrote this song about grafting and blah 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 with this farming stuff, and it was really charming. It was just really charming and fun, but you know, it's just it was something that I think we're still to this day very thankful for, because Travis really I'm a fan of Travis Wright. Like, he was the one that like really put it together, and it's just been really cool to see the reaction and how people love it.
Now that was part of a podcast type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a fan of.
Okay, that's right. What was the podcast called?
I'm a fan of.
I'm a fan of. Okay, that's right. Okay, because this album, it's only available on the vinyl, right?
Yeah, that was like kind of the idea behind it. Was he wanted to do it one time, and it's not even like the vinyl's not cut with songs separated out. You have to listen all the way through. He has like a list of instructions inside of it that tell you like, hey, this is single like all the way through. It's a double LP, I think.
Yeah.
So you put it on, you have to flip it, and you flip it. But
and some of those instructions your parents may not approve of.
yeah. But who has parents anymore?
Well, you know what? I have to.
That's what iPads are for.
Sorry, that was just who has parents. We got rid of parents a long time
Yeah.
ago.
I mean,
That's
I have
not
a
big.
daughter, but she has an iPad. What does that matter?
Parents. We don't have parents. We are.
No. It's funny because I have that album, and you just said that you can't even see like the different song, because like you're talking about, like most of the time on an album you can find like I've never even stopped it to look for a song. I just put it on and play it. And I've also never actually looked at anything inside of it. I just take it out and put it on and spin it.
You're the perfect person for this album.
Yeah.
This was meant for you,
You
Jason.
need to read the instructions and see.
Oh, now I'm going to. I didn't know there was anything interesting in there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool too, because there's not anything digital you can download from this at all. There's
right.
There's
one song.
single.
There's
I'm
one
sorry.
song,
There's
yeah.
I stand corrected.
I don't know what song it is.
Oh, does it have a card in there? I didn't even look for that.
One Time I Died.
Oh yeah, the one time I died.
There's
was-
one song.
Yeah.
We don't. None of us know which one it is.
Figure it
we'll
out.
disagree on it. Yeah.
We're really bad at band promotion.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I'm gonna tee you up here. So this album it's vinyl only. How can somebody pick up one of these? Pick up a copy.
I think there's a website. there is absolutely. You can go to I'm a fan of podcasts. They have them there. We have them on our website, bravelittlhowl.com.
Yep.
The easiest way is come to a show. We always have like a couple with us. We'll probably be back in the Hill Country in Houston this summer. We're probably always lurking around DFW somewhere.
Look.
Or if you really, if you hit us up DM through like Instagram or Facebook, I'm sure we can mail one to you that way and figure it out.
Yeah, didn't we mailed one, or either we mailed one or Travis mailed one to Europe?
Yeah, I sent one to my friend in Switzerland.
Yeah. And it was like, I didn't even think about how much shipping would cost when I.
Yeah.
Gas prices, climate change. Woo!
Yeah, so that'd probably be the best way.
My friend Christoph, who I met in
Come to a show.
Yeah.
So talking about shows, y'all played a show recently, and y'all are taking a break, correct?
That's correct.
Do y'all know when you're coming back? Do y'all have shows kind of set up for when you come back?
We were on a break. Ross and Rachel. That's what happened.
I knew that was going to come up when you said they were on a break. I knew that was going to.
Yeah. So right now we are working on shows for June. But we just did 4 shows this year, and it turns out one of us has to go to rehab, and they'll come out of rehab May, but then they have to do international travel.
Not the typical band kind of rehab.
Yeah.
Like physical therapy kind of.
Yeah. He thinks we're more famous than we actually are.
Yeah. So then, we're looking at maybe late May, early June. But I don't think I can officially announce any shows or anything right now. But we will be back. I don't think we're quitting. Are we quitting, guys?
That's not the plan.
There's
just a lot of life happening.
1 no and 2 babies. So
Oh
who
my
knows? No, we'll do stuff again. Maybe without Clay. He does.
That makes it sound like I'm in rehab. So to clarify,
Clay has a baby.
By rehab, we mean physical therapy, and life happening. We also have at least 2 children that are going to be born this year. That we know of, yes.
Band life is scandalous.
So yeah, that's another one of the complications.
We have babies with our wives.
Yes. We got six guys in a band. There's going to be children that are born. And you have to schedule around that. So.
I mean, you should see backstage. Just it's so gross. I gross myself out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There aren't backstages where we play anyway. I mean,
no, we're luckily right in the green room.
yeah, like green rooms are the best.
That one in Fort Worth was just the back of a kitchen.
Yeah, we played.
No.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was great. They're working on it, and it's not with me with my personality. I prefer not to have to talk to people because I'm not good at it.
We wouldn't have thought that.
So yeah, anywhere I can hide, that's my favorite place. So like you saw us at Ghost Note. I've probably met you. I apologize for not remembering things. It is a brewery, by the way. But
Also, you went to a distillery.
yeah, I went to
prior.
Desert Door Distillery before we went to Ghost Note, and it was.
Did you really?
Yeah. So we went and ate some crazy meat tacos, like elk meat tacos, and had their sampler of Sotol and other things, and then went to the brewery and had some beers, and then played the show in 106-degree heat for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they did have a green room that you can go sit in. It has air conditioning and a shower. So I stood in the shower a couple of times. That's what I remember.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have shows coming up.
Short answer, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing us back to center.
You're on question 3 of your notes. I think.
Yeah, we're making our way through it. No,
We
so
only had 4 to begin with, so
Yeah. How are you guys still
we had
alive?
5 or 6. We had 5 or 6.
Luck.
We're good. No, but y'all have a great website, bravelittlehal.com. And on your website, speaking of shows, you have a list of all your past shows you played, what's coming
We're
up. I
just
guess.
bragging there.
Well, what I'm going to say is, so y'all have, looking at the list, you have a ton of shows, mostly North Texas focused. Do y'all feel like y'all are part of that North Texas scene? And does that kind of play into, y'all have an eclectic background, and I'm familiar with that area a little bit from going to school there. And I think y'all's music, the way y'all's music sounds reminds me of kind of how that area, kind of the music scene sounds. Are y'all kind of in the same ballpark with that? Or
it actually reminds it feels like the sound that Justin and I remember from when we were hanging out in that area
like 20 years ago.
20 years ago
Yeah.
is what it sounds like.
I think you were
You're
definitely
forgetting that we're all old. So 20 years ago, that's exactly the sound we're going for. Yeah.
20 years ago, you were 12, 11.
Okay, and you were 35.
Yeah. I was not that old yet. But yeah, I think there's definitely a North Texas part of who we are.
Yeah.
I think it's hard. Like the music scene, and I can only speak about North Texas. It's divided up into sections. Like you it's hard to say like that you aren't influenced by the other bands like the Ottoman Turks or 40 Acre Mule, or like by Death Ray Davies or Midlake or stuff like that. But at the same time, it's a scene that has like, this is where this band fits. This is where this band fits. And if you don't fit within that, you're sort of on your own in a way and forging your own path, because you don't have the same sort of like easy, hey, we're going to put this show together and you guys will fit right there sort of thing. It's more of a, this is how it plays out. We're going to line these bands up to do this. So I would say, yes, we're a part of the music scene up here. We love it. We love everybody who's in it. We've played a bunch of shows with some really amazing bands who are doing great things right now. And we support them as much as we can. But I think it's also difficult in that I think that North Texas by default gets a weird rap musically. Like a lot of people who make it in music leave North Texas and like go to Austin or Brooklyn or Nashville. It's not like people come here and like, oh, we're in North Texas, we're gonna have a. But it's crazy because this is a huge area. You have
People in North Texas will claim you once you leave and get famous.
Right.
And
right.
then they'll come like buy tickets to your shows when you come back.
Well, it
Yeah.
also goes back to what you said earlier. Like, we have songs that are kind of country and alternative country and indie rock and whatever. So, like, I think also by saying North Texas, it's like, yeah, we can play with just about anybody in North Texas, and maybe that also is a good description of North Texas. Is it's not a like single one-dimensional sound. It's like a variety, and so in that sense, I would say, yeah, we're North Texas. Like, play country, we play rock, we play whatever. Like, we even have like maybe at least one song that you would almost consider rap if you get Billy to do it.
Oh yeah, but no, like there's I think music scenes in general across the U.S. are in a weird place, and that people who used to go to shows, live music. Used to go to like live music, people who play guitar, drums, bass, that sort of stuff, and sing live. The demographic for that's getting older and older and older, and the younger generation is going more towards like performance based, like. There's a backing track and one singular person singing and one singular person performing, maybe with a couple other people behind them. And that's cool. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I think it skews what's happening in a music scene where it's looking like, I would say even Austin is looking for footing from what I can tell, like talking to bands like the Harvest Thieves and Western Youth, is that you have older people who will come see you at a brewery or come see you at Central Machine Works. I think that's a brewery.
Yeah.
And stuff like that they do really well at. But if they're going to go play a club at night, it's really hard because it's either people who don't really care about the music or they're just to party, or they're friends who were able to get a babysitter that night or that kind of stuff. And it kind of makes it different. Like when I was growing up, you had the Toadies, you had Funland, you had Tripping Daisy, you had all these different bands that Dallas had to go see almost every weekend. And it was an insane amount of talent. And I think North Texas has a disproportionate amount of talent in it.
Right.
But you have all these hurdles, and you have Dallas is a weird place, and it has credit card millionaires, and they don't want to go to these places that aren't. They're not gonna go out of their way to find new music. They're gonna go once you're established. They'll go come see you at this place, but they won't come see you when you're here. So it's kind of a fight. I think every music scene right now is going through that. I have friends in Nashville I talk to, and they have the same problem there. Like if you're not playing a third man event, then you're either on Broadway there in Nashville. You can play East Nashville to maybe like 10 people at a club that has a good reputation because you're not known. You're not going to show up.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of a music industry problem with live music.
Yeah. I certainly don't know any answers. I know that when I was in a rock band at 25, I also played shows to 10 people. So, but
we've grown. We get like 12 people now.
Yeah. Well, part of the
y'all
problem is like, and I'm guilty of this myself. Like, I get invited to an event, a show, a party, or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'll see if I can come. And then the day of, it's like, well, I'd rather sit at home and watch TV, or this other opportunity came up, and I'll go do that instead of this. And
yeah.
and so
I hope. I mean, I hear what y'all are saying, and I hope it like fleshes out.
I think there's like a resurgence that I feel happening in music right now.
Yeah.
That you have some bands that are really freaking good, who are playing real instruments and who are performing live and playing, like hustling their asses off, playing Omaha, Nebraska, and driving to Tulsa, and driving to Dallas, and driving to Austin. And I feel like that's sort of a resurrection of where music has been. Like it kind of died and fell asleep for a little bit, and now you have these bands doing that stuff again. And I think some of that's because of what Americana and Texas country bands have been able to do, like creating these circuits, creating these, like Charlie Crockett busting his ass up and down the Mississippi River, like playing shows to like 10 people in Kansas, and the next time 30, and the next time 50, and then now he can charge $40,000 for a show, and that's what we all want to do.
Well, I think what's interesting too is like there is hope because we've seen it. Like you were talking about the shows of the list of the shows on our website, right? If you go back through, it's kind of like a snapshot in the last several years of how those shows have just multiplied, and more people are asking us to come back and stuff like that. And what's fun in Denton now, when we played at Bearded Monk in Denton, it was our very first show. There was hardly anybody there. And now when we go there, we're packing out rubber gloves. We got people showing up for Dan's Silverleaf, like paying like a ticketed price ahead of time instead of just going, hey, what's this? And then coming in. Like, it's really cool. And like even the Dallas crew that we have in some of the venues that we played recently, there's like a handful, like a good chunk of people that bring their friends with them. So you double that crowd already. So what used to be like 3 or 4 people have now grown to like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's also cool is
there is
like,
hope.
For example, playing
There is
Denton,
hope.
if you're playing a specific venue in Denton and an owner of another venue shows up to see you because like we built a relationship with them and they also like enjoy our music, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to abandon my business to come like enjoy this show.
I don't think they abandoned their business.
They sold it that night.
I said,
that's the way that I like to think about it.
That was severe hyperbole.
Makes me feel a little bit better.
I will say this, like the thing with live music, and that I get super stoked to play live shows because there's this new thing that's happening with us that has happened in like the last probably, I'd say like 6 to 10 months since the pandemic. People know our songs and they sing them back to us.
Yeah.
And some nights I can hear them louder than I can hear the vocals on the monitor. And that's a weird, scary sensation when they're not just like, oh, I kind of know this song, I'm gonna hum along, but they're yelling it at you so loud that like it's louder than the house.
That's got to be cool, though, right? I mean,
it's really cool. It makes me nervous because
they're very angry when they yell it. They're just
just stop. No, the weird thing is like you've worked for years to build people to listen to music, and then you're like, okay, there's a certain, like after a year, you're like, I'm not gonna ask my friends anymore because they're beat down by me constantly saying, come to my show.
And they've spent a whole $22 to pay for all of the shows.
Plus parking, plus beer. But now people come out, and they come without us asking. I don't know the last time I invited somebody personally to a show. And they don't just, like, I think we were talking about this the other day. We played a show recently, and we didn't invite anybody. And everyone who came to that show that we recognized was somebody that we didn't know before we had played a show before them. So they came after they saw us, and it's like their second or third time, and now we know them because they've come to something or multiple shows, and we have no personal relationship with them outside of we're in a band and they like music. And I think that's kind of like the start of something where you're like, this isn't just because somebody knows me and they're my homie. This is because somebody cares about the music, and that's sort of a scary place to be in a way. That you're like, what if we suck one night, or what if we write a song that they don't like, do we lose this person? And
it's part of the ride, man. It's part of the ride.
But it also is kind of ridiculous because I don't know, like I was listening to podcasts as I was driving around today, and just the idea of making music or making money from art is such a hard concept now, and it was kind of talking about AI and how AI is a tool that can be used by creatives and copywriting or whatever. And it's an interesting place to be in that you are now using a tool to do what you used to do. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like as a vocalist using a vocoder in the right way or whatever. And I think like as a musician looking forward and looking to like what we want to achieve, it'd be amazing to be like the friggin' Rolling Stones or something. But that's it's like winning the lottery and like buying a house in Maui. That just doesn't happen unless you're that one person.
Yeah.
I think now like the idea is like just keep making songs that you care about and that other people care about and that you can enjoy collectively in a venue. And I think that we're doing the right steps to head that way. And I think it's different than when you were 18 and you thought this is what life holds in front of me. Like now it's just give your kid an iPad and sneak out and play a show somewhere.
Well, I think we have a hobby now that.
Oh, this is more than a hobby. I waste way more money on this than a hobby.
Well, I was gonna say like, at least for myself, like this hobby almost supports itself. Like we make just enough money that I'm like, oh yeah, this paid for the gas to get here, and it worked out. So.
I'd like to go ahead and admit that Clay has never paid for any of the instruments he plays. Everything he has been donated to him.
Oh my god.
This is actually true.
And Clay also earns the most money of anyone in the band.
I don't know that that's necessarily true.
That's true. I've seen your paychecks. I see. That's actually my job in the band is make sure everyone's on pace.
It is true. So the guitar that I have was a gift to me. The xylophone was a hand-me-down from
It's actually a glockenspiel.
Okay, nobody else knows glockenspiel.
Well, it's not a xylophone.
Like 10% of the people that are in bands.
Mark's taking it very seriously, though. It's a glockenspiel.
Yeah, so that is very true. The only piece of equipment that I have that I actually purchased was my amp.
And he doesn't even know how to use it.
I really don't. This is why I am the least talented person in the band that just plays all of the extra.
We say that Clay is the eye candy.
That was before I gained like 30 pounds.
You're still the eye candy.
Yeah, you still can't tell.
You can gain like another 20 pounds and still be the eye candy.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thanks for being sexy.
He's the good-looking one in the family, by the way.
Oh,
Oh yes, after my ego, my head's growing so much.
I mean, I've seen his sister.
Whoa.
It just felt like the right thing to say. To
All right, well, Brave Little Howl just eventually.
That's it.
You just
That's
broke
it.
out, so.
No, we'll continue on without Clay. We'll go back to being a 5 or a 4 piece.
All
Depending on
right.
what
You'd
days.
make more money that way.
Oh yeah, we make so much money. Yeah, that was an answer to something.
No, it's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, any further questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask y'all about y'all put an album out in November.
Yeah, Neola Gold.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You mentioned earlier that Wilco was kind of a band that you said was kind of a comparison for y'all, and there's a song called Wilco on this album. Just tell us what you tell us. Putting this album out, how this is your second full album.
Right.
How has your music changed, or has it changed since your first one? And what do you think about this album?
No, yeah. Do you guys want me to answer that?
Go for it.
Can jump in? Okay.
You might as well. At this point.
I feel like
We can hear.
I got self-conscious for a moment. I'll get over it in a second.
No, we can get everybody's perspective. That's cool. Whoever wants to start, but I'd like to hear what y'all. Yeah.
Because really, like everything in the band, it all just goes back to me. So Neola Gold.
No, we really are.
I think in some way the first album, Our Lives Aren't Movies, we went into Redwood. I'll do the shiner. We went in, recorded at Redwood Studio with Mackenzie Smith of Midlake, and he just won a Grammy this year for his Madison Cunningham. He played drums on her album. But he's a phenomenal drummer, amazing producer, recording engineer. But we went in not really knowing who we were yet. It was our first time recording as a full band and recording kind of like thought out songs and that we had played live. And so we went in and recorded that. It was sort of an experiment, if you will. And we left that with a whole bunch of like, okay, this is, if we do this again, we want to do it this way, this way, this way. So Neola Gold kind of came out of a lot of writing live, playing these songs live a whole bunch of times, and then going to the studio and recording them as live as we can. So we recorded to tape and did as many like one take with very few overdubs as we could. The things that were overdubbed were vocals, a couple of guitar hooks or extra parts, and I think some of the keys ended up being overdubbed. But that was mainly like I think the keys, some of them are layered. Like the original keys still there in the tape, but we had to go back and do like extra like synth stuff, or maybe one with like a little bit of a Leslie speaker that we couldn't do in the live room. So Neola Gold's really a live album that we tried our best to keep that concept of this is what we sound like live. This is how we want to pull it across. And the songs were, I think they're more indie rock than what we did on the first album. And not necessarily consciously so, but I think because we're trying to perform them live, and live the shows take on more of a let's go, let's party, let's have a good night sort of thing. And I think it kind of comes across. And it's weird because my dad actually listened to this album for the first time all the way through, like this week or last week or something. And he said, these songs are so sad. I was like, you're the first, like we actually tried to write happy songs for this because the complaint after the first album was, dude, you guys just write sad songs. And Billy's like, I don't want to write any more sad songs. I guess I only know how to write sad songs, but everyone knows me so well.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, these are actually pretty upbeat for you. And maybe I should go seek counseling instead of just writing
Upbeat
songs.
for Marc is still very depressing.
Yeah. So I'm like the emo Beyonce. But the songs themselves, I listened to Beyonce a little bit today and it was awesome. So that's why I keep bringing her up. But no, like Neola Gold, we didn't know like what exactly would be the like a single off of it. We'd played those songs enough live that we had a good idea of what people responded to. So before this album came out, we put out 4 singles or 5 singles actually. We put out Can't Say, Malibu, Inorganic, and Ballad of Gregory Lee, or I think it's called Ballad on the album, and Wilco and the Saints. And so Wilco came about because we did a residency at Sundown at Granada in Dallas where we played Tuesday nights. It was a really cool experience. Basically what happened is a paid practice. We practiced on Tuesday nights. They gave us a spot of Tuesday nights. We would go up, play like 2 sets, 3 sets, something like that. And we put in new material, stuff we were working on, things we were practicing, and see kind of like how it flowed live, if we could even pull it off live, what people responded to. But every night we would sit down at the bar to have dinner before we go on, and I would look up at the screen, and it would have like Brave Little Howl, Tuesday nights, goes well with Wilco, Band of Horses, Damien Urardo. And I'm like, dude, it's so weird to sit here and eat and see your face on the TV and have someone go, you're good with Wilco. But there was also like that same Tuesday nights before we would go on, there was a Catholic group that would meet there, and it'd be like 50 people who would show up, and then they'd go next door to the theater and have like a worship service or something. But they would all be there, and then they'd come back, some of them, and listen to us. But you have this idea, like you have to play a show that night. You've been at work all day. You really don't want to be at work. You just want to play a show that night. And you're living up to this expectation of like, you have Wilco that they're saying you go well with. Not saying we are Wilco, by any stretch of imagination. And then you have the Saints, these people who are there to better themselves spiritually, not just get hammered in. Not that anyone gets hammered at our shows. I'm not saying that ever happened. But like you have this dichotomy of wanting to like be Wilco for not having a better expression for it. And then you have these people who are trying to be better people. And it's on a Tuesday night in a bar on Greenway Avenue in Dallas. And you put it all out there. That's what the reference about the matador, like there's blood on my sword. Like you've killed this bull. You're looking around and are people applauding? Are they not applauding? And it's all just a big act. Like you wrote this song just as an act. And I think that's sort of like where that song came from. And I feel like that became the motif for the album. Like the songs stretch across. Like Inorganic's about me attempting. There's someone behind you, Jason. Be careful.
I know.
But like Inorganic's about online dating, like the dating app stuff, how terrible that is. Ballad of Gregory Lee is about basically struggling to, it's about a character from a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones and also the movie that we watched together one night.
The
Bad Times at El
Bad Times at El Royale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think also important to note about that album. I hope that it's somewhat cohesive as an album, which for me is all the like bigger accomplishment because we used like two separate, like we recorded with two different
we did.
kind of entities.
Yeah, we recorded 3 songs with John Pedigo at a place called Audio Dallas, which is where Willie Nelson did Redhead. Oh my gosh.
Redheaded
Yeah, I
Stranger.
wasn't gonna
Thank you,
name drop or
yes.
anything, but
I want to say Redhead Stepchild, but I knew that was wrong. Head at all.
Different
I was like,
album.
Blue Eyes Crying in Rain. Blue Eyes Crying in Rain. So that album was recorded there. It's an amazing studio. Pedigo's so much fun. And those were like literally, he didn't even like, he was like, hey, go. That was good.
oh yeah,
We
yeah,
just do it one more time.
were
Go.
the most live we've ever.
Yeah,
recorded.
those are super live. So that's Malibu, Pick Up the Phone, and Can't Say.
Yeah.
Those 3 were done there. All of them except for Preamble were done at Cloudland, and that was same sort of thing. It was all live, but we had more time there. We were able to sit back and say, okay, what do we want on overdub? What do we not want overdub? And then with Preamble, we did ourselves as a last minute. Like I had written it originally to record at Cloudland, but it was a just time constraints and the moving parts of everyone's schedule. It just didn't work out that we could sing it there and record it. So we ended up recording ourselves, and it is I don't think it sounds out of place, but to me, it definitely out of the other songs on the album, it sounds different sonically than.
Well, for me, it speaks to that I think that we have found our sound a little bit better. That when I listen to the album, nothing necessarily sounds out of place. I hope,
Right.
I'm listening as an insider, not an outsider, but like, so we have two halves of the album with like the majority done at different places, and then also just this kind of extra that was done in a completely different place. And I think that it all works together. I hope.
Well, and what was kind of fun too about this album, recording wise, I have one really favorite moment, and the other moment I guess is more about the process, which is it just went so much faster. Not that that's necessarily ever a good thing, but it was just so much easier for some reason this go around, and it was just capturing who we were, and it wasn't like fiddling around with all this stuff and trying to redefine this or that. It was like, here are the songs, we record them, we got a good take, we're done. We're not going to go back through and listen like 6 hours and okay, now let's do this and that. Now that did come with mixing, and so
Right.
and the amount of times we sent songs back and forth. But one of my favorite moments about the album is Inorganic. We literally like had that song in practice one week, and the next week we're in studio, we recorded it, and what you heard is what you got. Like that was it. And now that's what we play. I mean, there's one tweak that I do on the drums, but tweak.
You twerk on the drums?
You twerk
on the drums. But like, I think that to me, it does speak to one growth for as a band and musicianship wise. It does speak to like the ease, I think, of just writing together a lot more. And as much as we talk about how we practice and write a ton all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of thinned out, I will say, on practice side. But there's a lot of times we come back from like a 2-week break or something like that. And we're like, dude, we still kind of suck, but that was kind of fun. That was fun. We did a lot better than last time. But it's just, so to me with this album and what came out of it and like the story of Wilco, the story of Inorganic and stuff like that. And then just how like being able to work with your friends on an album like this has just been so cool. And I think the other thing too, and I think I told you, Jason, was that like, I think what's fun about playing in Brave Little Howl is that it's not like you're checking out of a locker room at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Like it's a brotherhood. We're always messaging each other, watching football together. I mean, we stayed up the other night till stupid late and watched Pearl. Like it was just a lot of like stuff like that. Just in being a part of each other's lives instead of just playing music and going, all right, see you in a week or see you at the next show.
Yeah, we all know how each other smell and snore.
Snore for sure.
Yeah. We have a snoring and a non-snoring room when we go out on the road. We have to do 2 hotel rooms now.
Which, as we all get older, everyone just moves to the snoring room.
Right.
Snoring room's gonna be fun now. We moved to the sleep apnea's heart-stopping room.
But I also think just to incorporate kind of what's coming in the future into what we've been talking about, like, so we plan on using this time that we're taking off to like workshop a little bit and see, you know, what exactly we're all wanting to do. Like, these are some songs, these are some ideas. How do we want to like incorporate these into future shows? And so we're probably not getting anyone's hopes up about anything, but like we are planning on working on some new stuff, I think, during this time off.
There'll probably be an EP coming out of this that will be recorded in the Hill Country this summer. And it'll be released this fall. Stone.
Wow.
All right. We got work to do, boys.
Here first.
That was
Well, I mean, you are going to have a lot of time. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
we'll have like 2 or 3 months. Actually, we have one unrecorded song we're playing live. We have I have like probably 5 or 6 that are sitting around waiting to be touched, and
Then
Billy
that
has
was
like
her.
2, I think, that are ready to be touched.
And we've already started working on another one. But
That's one of Billy's.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's one
for
of
sure.
1 or 2. Yeah. So they'll. I do think like they're like I don't know if you guys know him. He lives in Fredericksburg now. He's originally from Fort Worth, named Taylor Tatch. But he's pushing really, really hard to try and do something this summer. So
To get you guys in there and record.
yeah, and his studio, it looks really cool, and he has a tower on his property that has a single bed in it, and we'll all sleep in that one bed together. And there'll be 6 of us just touching each other and snoring each other. It'll be hot. Maybe some more babies. We don't know. Not good at health and geology.
6 dudes. There's probably not more babies coming.
No.
I was gonna make that joke, but I said geology instead of what I meant to say, which is genetics. And
Is it a
yeah.
fish that can switch their sexes?
yeah, fish
Yeah.
can switch their sexes.
Maybe some amphibians
And I
as well.
think like there's actually procedures now if you're interested.
I mean, y'all do have time off, so if you
Time to get the procedure and recover.
He looks like a fish.
She?
You all, the album cover is just you guys with gills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like the cool thing for us is that we like making music together as a group, and making music right now, we're still able and healthy enough to do it. And I think that unless something crazy happens, another pandemic, and we all die, we'll keep doing it with no.
Well,
Nope.
you just jinxed us. We're gonna have another pandemic, and we're all gonna die. That's
Oh,
because of what you said right there.
I don't know. Has anybody else been watching The Last of Us? You got to.
I have, yeah.
Watch out!
Okay,
Watch out!
okay.
Or fun guy.
Hold on, I'm like 2 episodes behind. So I did play both the games though.
There you go.
I don't even know what any of that is. I just listen to nerdy podcasts
You're way
and
too cool.
write songs. I
Way
don't
too
know what the
cool
rest of the world
for
does.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry
And
about
sports. I really like sports. I don't remember what we were talking about.
it. Well, so we could probably start wrapping this up. I was gonna say what to promote. I mean, you have your new album to promote. You don't have any shows really right now
No,
because of the hiatus.
I think while we are on hiatus, I may edit together some videos for songs that don't have videos yet off the new album.
Yeah.
So we may have those to look forward to, depending on my dedication and my time management.
You know, I don't want to necessarily keep you guys longer, but was going to mention, like you were talking about what the scene is like now, and kind of like people not wanting to go to shows or whatever unless they heard it. I think we've talked about this before, I think on this podcast, but I think that there's a whole like the thing that bands used to do where they would just travel around, and they still do that. Plenty of people still do that, and trying to go back and build up their audience. Like somebody told me, I don't know, like a year ago, I said something. I made some stupid comment on Twitter that I never play shows, and that person was like, "You have a whole damn internet now. You don't even have to have like all these shows." Like you're talking about people don't have parents because their kids are always on the iPads. The parents are on their phones too. Like
Right.
you guys get a bunch of content and throw it at people, and that keeps that's.
I think there's like pros and cons to that because during the pandemic, that's what everyone went to was like, hey, let's. Right. And then it got watered down to where you're like, I don't care about this guy and his acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
To me, like maybe this is me being a music elitist and stoic guy who it doesn't want to change because I'm old man yelling at the clouds. But there's something about being in a room. Like I tell my kid this all the time because she's young and she needs to hear crap. But I'm like, dude, go to a venue where there's live drums happening and a live bass and let that pass through your chest. Like I remember being 16 and going to see Sonic Youth at the Bomb Factory in Dallas. It's now called the Factory because you can't have bomb in the title, which I'm totally cool with that. I don't want to promote bombs. If you want to build bombs, don't do that. That's not good for anybody. So I'm in favor of the Factory, but it was called the Bomb Factory. That's why I said it.
Yeah, we're an anti-bomb podcast. So yeah.
Thanks for being anti-bombs. I'm glad there's more of us out there. But yeah, so I saw Sonic Youth there, and Kim Gordon takes her bass and she lays it against her Ampeg stack, and I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. And then all of a sudden, the room. I was sober because I didn't do drugs before I went into this show, and I couldn't drink because I was 16. And like the bass is feeding back, but it's doing it through a tremolo pedal. So it's like, whoa, whoa, and it's hitting me in the chest. I feel like my heart is stopping when it's not pushing on me. So it's like wham, and you just feel your heart stop, and your breath has been knocked out of you because you can't pull your diaphragm in anymore. And then you can breathe again when it hits you. And it's this weird like air pressure change that if you've ever been in a studio, you know what that is. You open a door, you walk into the live room, and everything changes. There's something about a live performance where when you have the kick push through you, have the bass push through you, you hear a guitar squeal, and you can see, like, even if you can't actually see it, you can see the strings reacting to the noise. That's such a personal experience that you can't live through a YouTube video. I love YouTube videos. I watch them all the time. I feel like Trump. What am I doing with my hands? But like,
here you need my hands.
Yeah, here we go. So you have like all these live videos of bands. I love it. I watch it all the time. Bands I haven't seen live that I'll never see because they've broken up or whatever. Love their live videos. But there's something about being there in person, and I try to make it a point. Like if there's a band in Dallas I haven't seen yet, or in Fort Worth, I want to go see them because I want to see what it is. And even if it's like a bad show, at least you had that chance. And I'll usually give them like 2 or 3 chances because Lord knows Brave Little Howl's never played a good show yet. But one day we will, and that'll be the last show. But yeah, I think there's something to live music and being in a room with people and sharing that moment like that. I'm probably poor person with my emotions, but like there are a lot of times just watching a YouTube video, I'll cry. I can't imagine being there in a room with that music happening at that moment and sharing like that heartfelt like connection when someone pours their heart out or someone's playing with everything they have. I mean, that's the stupidest thing in Brave Little Howl is Cory plays too much with his heart, and you're like, stop it. I need to play with less heart because I'm not gonna be able to play if you keep doing what you're doing. And I think that's a good thing about live music is like you have this genuine, like, we're all stuck here now. You paid to get in. We have to do the show. Let's just get it over with. And it's unique. It's fun. And I wish and I hope that more and more people get to experience that, whether it is sort of like going to see Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift, or they're going to see, Mike and the Moon Pies, whoever. Like they're going out and they're seeing live music and they're experiencing that moment because this is just storytelling, and the story is so much better in person than it is recorded. I mean, it doesn't get better than that moment, the imperfection, the fly by the seat of your pants. I mean, that's what it is.
Very cool. Yeah.
You make a compelling argument for more Brave Little Howl shows.
Oh, it'll happen. I'm addicted to the anxiety and the terrifying like self-loathing.
Hey, and speaking of like content, if you want to see any of us with our shirts off, we have a video on YouTube.
We have an OnlyFans.
Malibu, if you want to watch our music video.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Most of us have our shirts
Yeah,
off. With
yeah.
that one. So
Yeah, it's like a pool party, right?
Yes.
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 so you know, if you like what you see,
Like,
Justin, can you
Yeah, $4.99 a month.
yes.
can you put the OnlyFans link down there at the bottom, Justin?
Sorry.
I won't do that.
You know,
I didn't have enough time.
we
Like,
need
there's-
to
yeah.
see some offers before we actually
Right.
create content. So
Thank you guys so much for having us out. We really, really appreciate it, man. Anybody who cares about music enough to talk to people about it, it means a lot. Not to me personally, but I'm sure to everyone else. But like,
Yeah.
it's funny because like you're doing the same thing we're doing. You're putting something in the ether in hopes that somebody cares and at least is encouraged or moving forward because of what you're doing. I applaud you guys for what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's great to have y'all on. Last thing for me, we started this podcast over the summer, and at some point around the time we started the podcast, Jason sent me a link to one of y'all's songs. It was Tupelo, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great song." And he's like, "Yeah, my cousin's in the band." And I was like, "Well, we could probably get him on the show then, I bet." So, good job, Jason, and good job by y'all. I really appreciate having y'all on the show.
yeah, you don't know how many arms I had to twist to actually make it happen. So.
No, Tupelo was actually a throwaway song. I didn't
Wow.
like it, and they convinced me to go ahead and finish it. And
It's
Yeah,
got
that's
A great song.
Yeah, it's got some views on YouTube. I mean, as far as just like through CD Baby or whatever. It's
yeah, no,
yeah.
honestly,
3 or 4.
like so KXT, the local public, like the NPR, basically of Dallas. They took that song and they played it for a good year and a half or 2 years, and now they have other songs of ours in the rotation. They're great. Like as far as local music scene,
Yeah.
KXT kills it. They do a good job of supporting artists, fighting through to find. I feel like they do a good job of quality control, not just you're local and you have a song, cool, put it on. Like
Right.
they care about what they're doing.
Right.
No disrespecting Buddy. I mean, I didn't mean that to sound weird. Like we somehow reached something. We're not like in their main rotation. We're not like the friggin' Queens of Stone Age or something. But they play us enough that I'm like, this is rad. Like, I get in the car and just randomly turn it on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that song. Oh, that's me. That's why. Like, that's a cool feeling. And but yeah, they took Tupelo and they kind of helped share that. And I feel like a lot of what we have now is because of a throwaway song that everyone said, let's do this.
If you come to a Brave Little Howl show, you'll get to experience a little bit of our somewhat intimacy, I think, on stage.
We get
when
naked during Tupelo.
We play Tupelo, so
You ever seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers when they wear socks?
There you go.
we don't
During
even wear
Tupelo.
socks. That's true.
We're like, let's just go. So,
That's high expectations there.
no, they're actually really low expectations. It's like really low.
We've socks.
Very
Ankle
small.
socks. Yeah, ankle socks.
Socks just fall right off.
Right.
Really, we need like those baby bottle nipples. That's what we need. All of us, all 6 of us.
So as we get out here, let's get some plugs in. So you got a new album out. How can people find the album? And you'll have a great website. We've had it scroll at the bottom of the screen the whole show.
Sweet.
How can people find y'all on social media?
I think we're Brave Little Howl on Instagram and Facebook. Luckily, there's not a lot of other Brave Little Howls out there. You just have to make sure you spell Howl, Howl. Because it's a reference to Brave Little Toaster and the Ginsberg poem Howl. So that's the way you can remember it.
And it's little Little, not
Yeah,
Lil.
We've actually played places where they've abbreviated it LIL apostrophe, and it makes me feel like we should play more Biz Marquee
I
lives.
was gonna say
yeah.
it's that nod to Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Yeah, but yeah, like we're all over Instagram and Facebook. Instagram's where we're most active. Facebook, I'm supposed to share from Instagram to Facebook, but I don't know if it does every time. I try not to get online because it stresses me out. But But yeah, we're on Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music. I think we're on Napster,
Amazon.
YouTube,
LimeWire.
Amazon, LimeWire.
And if you want an album, reach out to us on our website or
through our social.
Yeah, just
Instagram or
for
Facebook
real,
or whatever.
just DM us on Instagram. It hits my phone immediately, and I can respond. Email hits like 5 of us, depending on who sees it. It may or may not get answered.
5 of us, not 6, because I've never.
Yeah,
checked it,
he's
not
never.
even once.
We don't let Clay's not an official member.
I don't
yet.
even have the password.
He's still trial. But yeah, I mean, people ask us to do weddings and funerals and stuff like that. So it's people find us somehow. I don't know.
Well, very cool. We really appreciate having you on the show.
Yeah.
And so we've got some plugs also. We're also on social media. What a coincidence. So we're on Instagram and Twitter at LFDT Pod. Again, at LFDT Pod. LFDT, of course, stands for Let's Freaking Do This, the name of the podcast. We're also on Facebook. Jason created the Facebook page. How do people find us on Facebook, Jason?
I have no idea.
That's what I thought. Yeah, we still haven't figured that out, but we are on Facebook.
I couldn't find it
We had
myself
trouble
earlier.
finding his Facebook earlier.
Yeah, it's Let's Freaking Do This. It's like a purple logo, like you see behind Justin right now. You'll find it if you really want to find us on Facebook. You'll find it.
Yeah, you can find us there. So we want to thank everyone who's watching this now or later on YouTube. And hey, if you're watching this, do us a favor. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. It really helps us. We really appreciate it. It also helps the bands that we have on the show. More people see us, more people see them. It, all this this loop of goodness. I don't know.
Kindness.
Sounds good. Yeah, kindness. There we go. We're also available on podcast platforms like Spotify and Anchor. So check us out there.
And we'll be pressing this episode on vinyl. So
Yes!
This always happens to us. We get on a podcast, they press the vinyl. Thank y'all here for having us.
can't-
I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
maybe Jason and Clay should do like a family reunion where they play music together and form a band.
Wow.
there you go.
That's a good idea.
We can do this band.
Let's,
I don't know.
let's-
Both of
yeah.
us admitted that we can't actually play any of our instruments.
I mean, I know that's true for you, but I feel like Jason can play an instrument. Look at that skull. That says I know instruments.
That's true.
He plays them all.
Yes.
Jason,
That's all
before,
you need is all the instruments.
yeah, before we go, Jason, do you have anything you want to plug? You have a show coming up this week if you want to plug it.
Yeah, we're playing. God, where are we playing?
In Houston, Texas.
In Houston, the Armadillo Palace in Houston this
That's a
Saturday.
cool name.
What instrument are you going to be playing, Jason?
I will be playing the fiddle and the mandolin and the banjo.
Nice.
And what's the name of the band?
So it'll be the Jaret Ray Reddick experience or whatever you call it. No, it's Jaret Ray Reddick at the Armadillo Palace in Houston. I have no idea what time.
Wasn't he a basketball player, JJ Reddick?
JJ Reddick, yeah. Yeah, he retired, picked up the guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Playing
on
country
the
music.
Sonics. They're not even a team anymore, right?
No, the Sonics are gone. Yeah, they became
Wow,
the
what a crazy
Oklahoma City
time.
Thunder. Yeah,
Go from basketball
have-
star to playing in a Armadillo Palace.
there we go. Yeah, by the way, Jason, your show's at like 10 o'clock. It's after the rodeo
Oh, well, there
cook-off
you go.
here. In
I know it was
Houston,
late.
so
I know that they put on the promo poster like
late
it's a
night
late
show.
show. So
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
I just
late.
know we're staying in a hotel.
They
So
play like midnight.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, I mean, like the doors open at 10 o'clock. Like the
Oh,
show
wow.
is
it's late.
I'm not
It's
even
late.
sure when y'all are going to play. Yeah. So,
Hey, next time we'll interview you guys. So
Yeah.
There you go.
We're gonna start our own podcast.
we're going to start a podcast.
y'all can talk
Oh,
to Jason.
do this freaking let's.
Wow, that was rough.
It's the first thing popped in my head.
That was our first name, original name. We had to workshop it. We
Yeah.
came up with this one. But now, once again, thanks to Brave Little Howl. We appreciate Mark and Clay and Corey and Josh, who left us a little bit earlier, but we're glad he joined for a little bit. Thank y'all for joining us.
Kids, you got to get home.
Yeah, it's understandable. Jason, any last words before we say goodbye?
Nope. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So for Jason, I'm Justin. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Brave Little House for you.
Bye.